Hi, if you're new here, I'm Kylie, just another Army vet, and today I'm continuing my reaction to the Beer Biceps podcast with Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon. This is the Ranveer Show, episode 269. Let's get to it.
What about that lost generation of children which didn't get good education but are also not becoming insurgents? What are they up to now?
Kashmiri society is a very intellectual society.
Okay.
They are a very aware society. They are very education-oriented society. They are poets. They are musicians. They are artisans. They are, different types of art. Maybe carpets, maybe paper mache, maybe walnut wood, or what have you. So this whole generation which you're talking about, it's not the generation which suffered. It is the society which suffered. A society which was so intellectual, which was so nice. Now, today, 2/3 of the population of Jammu and Kashmir is below the age of 30. And they have grown up under the gun culture, like I always say. So that society, that gap in that generation or the age group is what we have to understand.
Yeah.
2/3 of the population has seen this terrorism happening day in and day out in their neighborhood, in their own houses. So we need to understand the psyche of this generation and need to be more human towards their cause and their feelings. All of them are not terrorists. Let me be very clear. The people who are terrorists or people who are terrorist sympathizers, they are in single digit.
Yeah.
I'm glad he pointed that out. I think that's very important for him to differentiate between terrorist sympathizers, and people who are actually good citizens and good people.
Normal Kashmiri just wants his daily life, his good education, good hospital facilities, good, job opportunities, and peaceful life with the family.
So what's the reality of Pakistan occupied Kashmir? It's a aspect of the world which is very, I'd say, it's probably not understood enough by Indian citizens. What's the reality of that land right now? Like, if you go there right now, what's happening there all over? Is it peaceful? Is it a hotbed of insurgency? What's happening? I mean, we know the answer,
I'll just give you a little background to, because some of the audience may not understand why. Pakistan occupied Kashmir is when Kashmir acceded to India on a legal document. Pakistan sent in their raiders to occupy Kashmir by force, and they were almost on the outskirts of Srinagar when the Indian army went in and pushed them back. They have been pushed back from the Kashmir Valley per se, but some part of the erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir, including Gilgit-Baltistan and some areas of Jammu and Kashmir, are still with them, because they could only be pushed up to a particular place because it was the month of October. Then the winters came in, the passes got covered, and there were the river obstacles. So that area which is still under Pakistan control, outside the Kashmir Valley per se, is called Pakistan occupied Kashmir.
So when did that happen? When did Pakistan actually occupy those areas, and when did India push back? Is this 1947, 1948? If someone wants to clarify in the comments, thank you.
They are also same Kashmiri people there. They're brothers who are this side and that side of the line of control. The situation there is such. Good thing which happened was the internet, the social media, the global village concept, and there was a bus service which was started between Pakistan occupied Kashmir and Kashmir. So anyone who went to Pakistan occupied Kashmir, spent few days there with their relatives, came back. He came and told the horror stories. The neglect which Pakistan occupied Kashmir was undergoing, the lack of education, higher education facilities. Like today, there are 9 medical colleges which are coming up or were only there in J&K.
So how large is Kashmir, or how large is Pakistan occupied Kashmir? Because he's talking about medical schools and stuff, which means that they must have a large population. If someone wants to clarify, thank you.
Whereas that said, they're nil. The type of job opportunities which are now getting created this side, the airports, the hospitals, the IITs, the IIMs which are coming up, it's a it's a world of a difference.
I am.
So that is now becoming clear because of the social media and the internet.
Got it.
And people going and physically seeing it.
And this is why it's so important that people have access to technology, the internet, social media, GoPros, camera phones, because that way people can upload the truth onto the internet for everyone to see, and people aren't relying on other people's narratives.
Honestly, so this podcast is a lot of Kashmir education for me as well. And I feel so many people who appear on these news channels with strong opinions about it. Is it fair to say that they're not fully informed about the reality?
I will not specifically talk about anyone. I will say anyone who has not been to Kashmir is an opinion maker on Kashmir. I'll tell you a small anecdote. I was a corps commander in Kashmir.
Yeah.
And 370 abrogation had taken place. And a top newspaper chief editor wanted to come to Kashmir and interview me. So we fixed up the date and time, and he flew in from Delhi, and say the time was fixed, say 11 o'clock. So he came at about 10:30. So my staff told me, sir, gentleman is here. I said, okay, we can finish off the thing. So he came in and he said, sir, I'm very sorry. I overestimated the travel time. I came a little faster. So I said, yes, generally it takes that much time from the airport. He said, but I was thinking there's a lockdown. I'm talking about post 5th of August. There's a lockdown. There'll be a lot of checking, a lot of places. I'll be hauled up at the barrier and asked to prove my ID, and it will take me a long time. So I said, no, nothing like that happens. He said, yes, sir. All shops are open, all roads are open, traffic is moving around freely. There is no roadblocks, there are no barriers. And that's how I reached half an hour early. So I said, who's telling you there was a lockdown? There's nothing called lockdown. He said, no, sir, but the whole media is saying there's a lockdown in Kashmir. I told him, I said, you are the media, you are a newspaper editor. And then comes the beauty. Then he says, sir, actually I write twice a month, I write an article on Kashmir in editorial column. So I thought I must go and see Kashmir.
That is so funny. I mean, it's not, but it is. Imagine writing an editorial column twice a month about a place that you've never even been and a place that you don't fully understand. I mean, this guy must have been the master of bullshit.
No, he has not been to Kashmir. He's writing editorial articles on Kashmir, and he has a perception, even being in the media, which is supposed to be aware of things.
See, again, that is a case of the media shaping a narrative which is completely untrue.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm saying. The narrative building about Kashmir, about wrong things going around in Kashmir, are all narrative building. Pakistan till today is saying Kashmir, there's a lockdown. Where there are movie shootings which are happening in Kashmir.
Yeah.
So that's why if anyone who comes on the TV where they can influence a young mind, my request would be, you should have done your homework, you should be an expert on the subject, and you should know the topic.
Because you spent so much time in Kashmir, sir, please feel free not to answer this also. You witnessed the Kashmiri Pandit exodus?
Yes, I was a young captain in North Kashmir, in district Kupwara.
The Kashmir Files.
And on 19th January 1990, before that, I reached there in September 1988, and I was there till better part of 1990. So I witnessed the situation at that time. However, since I was only a captain and in a particular area with a particular area of responsibility, I written about this in a great detail in my book. Because what happened on that day, what happened prior to that. And a lot of people even question as to why the army didn't do anything.
Can you give a gist?
Like I told you.
My guess is the army could not do anything because of Article 370.
Kashmiri Pandits left. Education system collapsed. The ecosystem of Hurriyat, terrorists and all those people, anyone who didn't align with them got killed. They made sure the society remained uneducated. The socio-political, economic aspects, outcomes of this. Social outcome. There is a very deep-rooted thing. You will see no Sayyid, no higher caste chap getting killed in an encounter. They're all the controllers of terrorism. There's a cannon fodder caste which gets killed in the encounters. Economics. Because of the terrorism, because of lack of education, because of lack of good opportunities, good infrastructure, good development, no peace, economic development has not happened. Because the education had not happened, economic development has not happened, the job creation is not there.
Yeah.
There are no MNCs which have come in because of 35A. And tourism society, basically everyone depended on tourism. Because there was no peace, tourists were scared to go. At times, the terrorists even killed the tourists.
Yeah.
Whose fault? Not a Kashmiri local's fault, but he suffered.
Okay, very unrelated question. Do you believe in karma?
Yes.
You believe that actions have consequences?
See, I will say every man is responsible for himself, for his actions.
Yeah.
But as a military commander, I am also responsible for the well-being of my men under my command.
That is one of the key things about being a leader, whether you're an NCO or an officer, is that the well-being of your soldiers is of utmost importance, as well as completing your mission.
For me, karma is not only that I do good karma so I'll get the good results in this life or the next life, or my children will get a good result because of the karma. For me, karma is instant.
Yeah.
If I am a good commander, if I do my planning properly, I conduct my operations properly, I lead my team properly, my actions are judicious, justified and transparent, I'll come back with my men safe, I'll come back myself safe.
Yeah.
So karma is granting me immediately. But the point which you are making, every Indian has got that feeling somewhere at the back of the mind. And I'm no different, but I would want to do the thing rightly, in the right manner, as a part of the team.
Yes, sir.
For the overall good of my team.
Yeah. The reason I ask you this is because I've been reading about this concept called collective karma, which means that societies in general also hold a certain karma. That if a society is inflicting pain or a country is inflicting pain on another country, it's going to come back at some point. Which makes me think about Pakistan in general. After the 2 podcasts we've done, it has been responsible. The ISI has been responsible for creating havoc in this one area. What I wish to ask you is, what's happening inside Pakistan right now as well, not just economically. What I believe is that a lot of news is actually blocked in mainstream media in Pakistan. From the geopolitical analysts that we've had on the show, they speak about the revolts happening in places like Baluchistan, Northwest Frontier Province. There are parts of Pakistan that don't want to be a part of it. Is that true? And I'm asking you for your objective geopolitical opinion here.
I will sum up in one line.
Sure.
The whole thing which you have talked about Pakistan and the karma and other things. A very important world leader had told Pakistan, if you have snakes in your backyard, you can't expect them to bite your neighbor only. So this one statement sums up the whole thing. What Pakistan has done over the decades. Those terrorists are going to come back.
Yeah.
So they are not only going to be directed towards one side. So I'll leave it at that.
One military question.
So I did write down a note for me to talk about collective karma in the closing of my video, because I think that is a very interesting concept.
India has a very large border. It's like so curvy inside out. How do you possibly patrol the entire border? Are there like modern satellite systems? Like I just don't understand how such a large landmass can be completely protected. And is it a scientific problem that the military is trying to solve for constantly?
And it's not just the military, it's also the paramilitary, such as BSF, of course.
Just for the benefit of the audience.
Sure.
The highest battlefield on earth is Siachen Glacier. India is fighting there. And on the other extreme of the spectrum, India is also protecting its island territories. That is the mean sea level.
Yep.
So from mean sea level, right up to the highest battlefield, that's on Himalayas. In between, we have all types of borders, may it be high altitude, may it be mountains, may it be riverine, may it be deserts, may it be jungles, may it be coastal line. So we as a military or as a nation are guarding all these borders, and with two nuclear neighbors who are not very friendly. So the question which you asked, there's a mix and match of everything.
Okay.
There is a electronic surveillance means which are available. The physical holding of areas which is definitely there, and the physical blocking of areas for a specific period of time, coupled with the electronic means of surveillance. They can be ground-based, they can be raised platform-based, they can be, from the third dimension.
They probably have drones and maybe UAVs as well.
So all these coupled together form a very nice network of border management.
Okay. Is drone warfare or drone surveillance becoming more and more important
There we
in
go.
modern day military life? As far as I understand, in the same way that we have Army, Navy, Air Force, we've spoken about cyber and space on the last podcast. One thing I didn't touch upon is drones. Has it come to the forefront, truly?
If you have seen any of my reaction videos on the Ukraine war on my military channel, then you will see that drone warfare is becoming very prevalent. They're using drones to drop grenades on enemies, as well as to scout out enemy positions in real time, as well as to help people actually surrender via drone. I definitely see drones and UAVs actually becoming a very relevant part of ground warfare.
See, warfare, like any other field, is a dynamic and evolving field. From spears and swords to horse cavalry to foot infantry to tanks to guns to helicopters to aerial warships and attack hepters, and the evolution is still going on.
Yeah.
Drones are just one part of it.
Okay.
In the recent times, yes, they have gained certain relevance and importance, but they're not a standalone system. They're part of the overall war fighting network. But yes, in the last one decade plus, they are becoming more and more pronounced. Their use is becoming more and more lethal and multifaceted.
Offense is the best form of defense.
Yes.
That's something I know every military man believes in strongly. We talk about cyber attacks happening on us or on civilians, etc. I'm 110% sure that there is a cyber unit in the military as well. You don't need to elaborate on it. So if you think it's inappropriate, and pardon me if I've asked you something that's too much where I've crossed the line.
No, I'll tell you. We have a defense cyber agency.
Okay.
Which works under the headquarter IDS under the CDS. We have the Defense Space Agency.
Okay.
Which also works under the headquarter IDS and the CDS. And they also work in conjunction with other assets of the government, other agencies who are dealing with the similar topics and subjects, non-military agencies. And I was in the CDS Secretariat functioning my last appointment. They work very closely. They exchange notes on real-time basis. So it's not that one is working in a different silo. They're very cohesive, coherent, and integrated way of functioning between these agencies.
Yeah.
So they're there, and it's an open secret. I'm not telling you anything which is classified.
Again, one more question, because I'm enjoying talking to you, sir. It's not every day that you get a chance to talk to someone like yourself. When you talk about these agencies, secret services of India, or even the cyber warfare unit of the Indian military.
So would RAW, the Research and Analysis Wing, actually be considered the secret services of the Indian military or defense?
I'm sure there is a very well thought out recruitment process, which is not going to be the same as recruiting people for the actual military, not the Army, Navy, Air Force. That's a whole other process, because there human beings are the weapons. Here it's much more about probably the human mind being the weapon. So my question is, really, there are some kind of situations that happen in the public eye where the military is keeping an eye on it and recruiting the best talent out of India. Am I right in saying that? Because that's what the youth hopes for.
There is a two-way manning of these agencies.
Okay.
One is you go for a tenure, you come back, but your aptitude and your qualification, that's from the regular military. If you're having the qualification which is required in these agencies, and you have the aptitude and you are updated because you've done some course or something, then you go for 2 years, 3 years, extendable to 5 years or whatever time.
So, but these people's career, where does it start? Like, do they come from?
They start as a proper military professionals.
You're talking about like Secret Service?
No, I'm talking about the cyber and space and other things.
Okay.
And even the secret services. There is also in the secret services also, there are vacancies of all the other services.
Okay.
So person who has the aptitude, they're taken on deputation. At times they are absorbed permanently. So there are various ways they can work for these agencies or the services. Without going into detail, it's the best man for the job.
Okay. And these are recruited from military colleges, but
they are recruiting from all over, depending on if the chap is serving in the police.
Okay.
He has the aptitude and talent. He is picked up and taken there. Is found suitable. Is retained. He can be there for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, come back to his parent cadre, or he can continue in that cadre.
So I forget his name, but it was the guy that was featured, Duvall, I think, in the Master Spy turned bureaucrat that I reacted to a few weeks ago. But essentially, he was in the police force, and then he eventually got into the whole spy game. So yes, they definitely recruit from the police.
So it's nothing bad here.
Okay.
Aim is to pick up the best who can do the best job for the country.
Right.
He can be picked up from any service.
Yeah, I'm just drawing out a very hypothetical scenario. Suppose there is a hackathon, these coders come together to code something very elaborate. Would the Indian Secret Services actually go to that hackathon, keep a track of who's the best coder and then pull them in?
The people who are responsible, like CERT and all, people who are responsible for defense against all these hackings and all, they do conduct hacker conferences and all.
Okay.
Why have I never heard of a hackathon? Can somebody please clarify what a hackathon is?
And if they find someone suitable, I'm sure. I won't know the details of it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if this chap is good and he's got the potential, he must be taken in.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, aim is that his qualities or his potential must be used for the good of the nation.
You need the muscle of the mind sometimes.
Yes.
In these situations. I'm assuming that it's the sharpest, most capable minds out of all these
schools. Of the available assets, resources.
Right.
And I'm sure they would be having procedures and ways and means to select who's very good.
Okay.
And then taking him in depending on their requirements.
Got you.
So again, I'm really enjoying this podcast, and I think the concept of collective karma probably exists. And I think a lot of countries are probably due for it, such as Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, Great Britain, and the US, of course. And if you do want to get a better understanding of what kind of shady shit the US has been involved in that might warrant this, then why don't you check out my Think School reaction right here. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you do want to help support the channel, I can always do the like, sub, share, or thanks. And if you do want to watch the final part, once I film it, I'll put it right here.